Hey there, Trailblazers! Another episode. Welcome back. I'm not a CSL Trailblazer. Let's make something happen. And I want to get into it with talking about a lesson idea that I had. And this lesson idea is something that came to me as a creative idea because it's an academic lesson, academic resource that I decided to adapt just a bit for my company business students. And I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but guess what? We hit the bank. We scored. It was a massive success. My students really enjoyed it, and I want to share it with you. And maybe you can use it if you're a teacher watching this with your students, if they're advanced, or if you're a student of English. I think the language is finally going to hit home with this because I'm going to hit something that you don't know. And that's something that I take on as a challenge each week with my students, is that because they're quite advanced, they typically know a lot of the language, and I find it sometimes quite challenging to be able to identify language that's practical and that they don't know already. And I've hit the bank with this one this week. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Burn to learn. So the topic is tackling issues, and this is related to a topic I did earlier about describing problems, where I covered synonyms for the word problems. And today I'm going to give you a few more of those synonyms, but I'm going to focus on the solutions. And the solutions are things that we try to do to improve a situation, to make it better. Unfortunately, sometimes we have good intentions and we want to make it better, but what happens? We make it worse. Ouch. But what words can describe such things? So I'm going to go to those words first because I know those are the ones that you really want to know. So here we go. If you want to make things better, and you successfully do make them better and solve them even, you alleviate, you mitigate, you rectify, you improve. Okay? The last one you know, but the others might not be so sure. I'll get to them in a second. Now, other times you have good intentions and you want to improve things, but what happens? You make them worse. Here are your words. Exacerbate. You hinder. You compound. You complicate, or you aggravate the problem, the situation. Now I'm going to give you some examples because that's what teachers need to do. The words are not enough. The translation is not enough, and you shouldn't be translating anyway if you're a language learner, especially an English student. However, you still need examples in the right context. So without further ado, let's get into them. Burn to learn. So let's start with making things better. Alleviate. I love this word because it's flexible. It goes with a lot of situations. Here are some collocations for you. You alleviate stress. You alleviate pressure. You alleviate discomfort. You alleviate concerns. You alleviate pain. I just hit you with lots of collocations for alleviate. Bada boom! Did you catch all of them? You can rewind this video if you didn't, or look at the show notes. But that's a lot of good stuff that you can use in a practical sense. So doctors are going to use alleviate because they're going to give you the pills, they're going to give you the cream that alleviate the pain, the discomfort, the pressure, all that stuff. But in a work environment, you can also use alleviate when you want to alleviate the staff's concern, the employee concerns of people losing their jobs or being let go. You alleviate their concerns by telling them that no such thing is going to happen, it's just a rumor. Okay? You alleviate your team's feeling of stress or feeling of pressure because of the deadline that's looming, and you do that by getting another team to help them, or by buying them lunch and a coffee and telling them that everything's going to be all right, and maybe getting involved yourself as a team leader or a supervisor. You alleviate the stress, you alleviate the pressure. Boom. Okay, let's move on. Mitigate means to lessen the damage. Mitigate the damage caused. So you're not solving the problem, but it's not as big as it was before. Okay, so you have a team at work, there's 5 of you, and now you're 3, and there's a deadline again looming. So to mitigate the damage, the team leader, manager, supervisor, whoever might find someone from another team to help you just for a week. Okay, just to mitigate the damage so that you can maybe get over and reach that deadline without too much stress and pressure, or that it's even possible to do it. So that's mitigating the the damage. Okay, think about politicians and celebrities. They have their PR people mitigate the damage of things that they might say that the media catches, and these PR people have to mitigate the damage by, talking to the media afterwards to show remorse, or that it was a mistake, or that things were taken out of context. You know what I'm talking about. Rectify. Rectify is a word that we use when we say that we need to fix it ourselves because of what we did that caused the trouble. Okay, so you blamed or accused or got in a fight with a team member or colleague, co-worker, or maybe something went wrong and you didn't think it was your fault and you blamed others, your team, co-workers, whatever. To rectify that, you would need to fix that problem that occurred. Take it on as a responsibility to fix it yourself and not let others fix it. So that's rectifying the issue, okay? Or you can rectify it by approaching your colleagues, co-workers, and apologizing and said that you behaved in an inappropriate way. This is also kind of rectifying, okay? Improve, you know what it means. I'm moving on to the making things worse, where we have the good intentions, but unfortunately, things don't go as planned. Okay, so exacerbate, a word that most of my students have never heard of before, and maybe you haven't either, but it is quite common and most native speakers know it. To exacerbate the problem, the situation, is when, again, two people are not getting along. You interfere and try and fix the situation and solve it like a mediator, and instead you've exacerbated the situation because now everybody hates everybody and they hate you as well. Bad. That's an example. If you're an IT person or a software engineer, you fix a bug, now you have 20. You've just exacerbated the situation. Or in IT, you think you fix a problem or you repair something and then multiple other problems pop up. It's exacerbated. Very closely linked to compound the problem, which means make it bigger, make it worse. I try to differentiate because I'm a teacher. Make something worse, make something a bigger problem. For me, there's a small little difference. However, you could probably use them interchangeably. But if you compound the problem, you've definitely made it a bigger problem than it was before. All right, maybe not necessarily worse, but now there's more to deal with. Okay, and we got hinder. So poor equipment in your workplace can hinder your ability to be productive or effective at your work, okay? Maybe people being loud or disrupting your concentration can hinder you from working. Maybe a individual might hinder you from being able to work more effectively, okay? Hindrance, the noun, to hinder, okay? And aggravate, my real example here is with physical injuries in sport more than with work. Because if you have an injury that it lingers and it's there, and you decide to go and train for the sport that you play, or you go and run like I do, and you know that this injury could come back, and you go and do that sport anyway, you could aggravate that injury, which means make it worse. So your ankle was hurting, now it's swollen. Your knee was hurting, now it's in excruciating pain. Nice collocation, yeah? Excruciating. Boom. Okay, so that's aggravate. We don't really use it in any other context. And of course, all those words, especially exacerbate or compound, you can use with sport. Yeah, you can compound the problem if you re-injure a knee or an ankle, etc. Okay, now these words can go very nicely with some synonyms for problems. I'm running out of time, so I'm speeding it up. Here are some synonyms for problems. Predicament, setback, dilemma, catastrophe. If you're Polish and you're watching this, this is not like katastrofa. Okay, Polish people, you like using katastrofa even if the bus is late. In English, we just use catastrophe like when there's a real serious catastrophe, like a tornado or a hurricane went through a city and, wiped everything out. All right, catastrophe. All right, I also got predicament. Did I say that already? Setback, I said that already. Obstacle, hurdle, okay? And those are really my new ones. The other ones I've covered with you before, like difficulty, trouble, issue, challenge, controversy, crisis maybe. That might be a new one. So synonyms for problems. We're having a crisis in the office, okay? It's a total catastrophe, okay? Or you can add collocations to some of these words. So it's a sensitive issue. The current predicament we're in is quite serious because we don't know what the reaction is going to be by the client. Okay, minor difficulty, major hurdle, minor setback, significant challenge, considerable controversy. These are all nice collocations that can go with these synonyms for problems. Okay, now in case you don't know what those words mean, I'll go through them really quickly here, but we're going to have to do another episode if you have questions about it. So, setback, it's something that delays your progress. Obstacle or hurdle, it blocks your progress. A predicament is an unpleasant situation that you're in, that you need to get out of. Okay? You overcome hurdles or obstacles. Okay? You might experience difficulties or experience some setbacks. Okay? So a setback is only going to delay you. All right? You have maybe a time frame, a schedule, and I don't know, there's a power outage at the office, or the equipment stops working, or one of your team members leaves quits, or goes on sick leave. These are setbacks, okay? Unanticipated factors that could slow you down. An obstacle and a hurdle, on the other hand, those are going to block your progress. You're not going to be able to move forward. You're not going to be able to do it. So, like a wall in front of you, literally obstacle, hurdle. But in a figurative way, we can use it metaphorically, sort of, to say that, something is preventing us from making progress on the project, so to speak. Like if it's code, it might be a bug that you can't seem to fix. All right. If it's in another context, you might seem to have like some software problem that's not working or that nobody seems to be able to solve. Obstacle. Okay. If you buy property and you want to build a house, usually there's a lot of obstacles or hurdles you need to overcome that are bureaucratic before you're given permission to build your home. Okay. So that leaves us with predicament, the unpleasant situation, and the unpleasant situation can be, big car traffic jam, your kid is waiting at school, you're stuck, you're not moving. Or big car traffic jam, your kid is in the back seat, there's nowhere to go. Okay, predicament. I don't know why traffic fits so well with this, but it just does. Again, with work, there can be a predicament where there's a lose-lose, like there's no way you can win in that situation. You might take one option and it's going to have some negative consequences, and another action might make it even worse. Unpleasant situation, this is the predicament. Okay? Or there might not be any easy solutions, and that's what makes it a predicament. Thank you very much. Your viewership really matters. Subscribe or share with people that you might know who would like this. Don't forget the Freshen Up Fridays newsletter, always valuable for some who might want more than just these videos, and I got a lot more to give. Be proud teachers. Have a great week. Burn to learn. Make something happen. I'm Nandis. I'll see you back here for another episode next time. Later.